with the amazing, the talented, incredible William K. Holland. By the way, I'm still the pretty one, right, Will?
Hey, yeah.
it's
It's all
all
good.
me. It's all me on that.
How
I
are
can
you?
tell.
It's
I
all you.
can tell. It's all good, man. How you doing, man?
Doing well. Doing well. I got off work a few hours ago, so I'm kind of had a chance to get my mind rested off of
Yeah.
the day to day, trying to go through and do this bill collecting thing. It's been interesting, to say the
Ah.
least, especially during the holidays. It's
Oh.
There are good moments.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of okay moments. There are a few rough ones, but not nearly as many as you'd think.
Well, that's good. That's good. No, so I ended up, I got, since we last talked, I got myself, I'm doing a regular show now for a Canadian, an immigration consultant company now.
Okay, that sounds
So I'm
interesting.
hosting a show about immigration. So it's an education show.
Oh, oh,
Yeah. So I get to do
interesting.
that. I'm actually like, I'm pretty close to turning this creative thing into a full-fledged living. Like I
Hey,
literally am like 1 or 2 gigs away from that.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at
No,
all.
dude, I'm too old to work for people. I came to that conclusion, right? And I'm too pretty to work for people. That's the thing. I'm too pretty and I'm too old. So because of that, I thought, but again, I've been trying to make my creative dreams come true. And
Yeah.
so I'm close. Like I'm really, really close.
Well, one of my more recent podcast episodes, I spoke to. I'm gonna make sure I try to say his name right this time. Kevin Giat. There we go,
Okay.
Kevin Giat. And Kevin Giat is a Kickstarter specialist. Like they go through, their group goes in and does helps people do Kickstarters
Yeah.
because it's about time for me to do this thing, like for real, like
Yeah.
just to jump into it. And so I'm working on getting my Harbinger story done so I can kickstart this thing.
Dude,
Looking for sometime
congrats.
early next year. Um, Working on that, so that's going to be interesting and exciting for me. It's going to be different because it'll be the opportunity to see, not really just to see what I'm capable of, but more importantly to see and to give people that have been waiting on something from me like this the opportunity to say, okay, we've waited and here it's here.
Can I say something really nice and hopefully about you, but in regards to this?
Okay.
First off, about damn time. It's like I understand. Again, off the air, I understand why things have gone the way they've gone with you. But dude, you are incredibly talented. You have a wonderful imagination. Honest to God, you have a wonderful, wonderful imagination, and and I think people will dig it. People will dig it, giving it live. But there's two parts to this though, and right, you have the great work nailed down. Like you have great work. Like, dude, I've seen your stuff. You're great. You really are. You have to believe it. You have to be willing to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
even if it makes you uncomfortable to do so. Right? Because you have to show that you believe in your work. And the
Right.
only way to do it. So we're both pro wrestling fans. I want you to think of the Macho Man. Oh yeah, because the Macho Man. See,
Ah,
the Macho Man. Oh
he believed
yeah,
in himself. Yeah, he definitely did.
yeah, he did. Oh, he definitely did, brother.
Please
He
believe
did.
in
Oh
himself.
yeah, but I can't believe we're still doing Macho Man stuff like 5 minutes into the show. This is awesome.
You knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the deal: the trick about Randy Savage, right? Here's the trick about Randy Savage is he was very honest with who he was and who he wasn't. In your case in particular, dude, you are a gentle soul. You are a gentle soul with incredible talent. Be that gentle soul and that incredible talent. And the quote is because again, you're a biblical guy, right? Many are called and few are chosen. There's another way of looking at that. I always tend to look at it. Many are called, but few choose. You're gonna have to stand up, my friend. You're gonna let that light of yours shine. You're gonna have to go like, I am William Holland, and I believe in my book, even when it seems like nobody's listening, because everybody is listening. It's kind of a weird little thing about that. How you project yourself, that's what you're going to attract. And a big part of Kickstarter is that ability to sell yourself. Yes, right, Dory. So true. Macho Man, indeed. Dory Jones is talking on Facebook right now. Right. That's right. So Macho Man Randy Savage understood this. He knew who he was and he knew who he wasn't. So saying all that, like that's the thing. Don't be afraid to fail. Rather, make sure you put everything you got in it. And then when you do that, no matter what happens to you, my friend, you'll be able to walk away going, I did everything I could. I didn't hold back. I didn't get scared in the moment. I said everything I did. The people that came. And what can I learn from this?
Right. Because the hope is it's not just this is something that we and Kevin talked about. It's not just okay. You've got the deal. You've done your book. Now the next question is okay. You did it. You completed it. You fulfilled on it. You did all that stuff. What's the next thing?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just want to do like a one shot just to say you did it, okay, we can do that. But why not consider building something?
That's right. So do you want to hear about my Kickstarter next year? No, mine ain't going to happen until the fall. Okay. There's a reason for that. There's a good reason for that. My illustrator's getting married, and I'm not going to get in the way of her getting married.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an important reason not to do something, right? So my Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you were aware of this. My next book came out in early December.
Okay.
Right, it's Alice in Wonderland's Greek mythology. I accidentally invented a board game, so I'm going to be doing a book board game combination next year.
I accidentally created a book. Only you can say that.
Yes. That, right? Yeah, I know, but it was an accident. It was not something I intended. It happened. I wanted to do a Snakes and Ladders style like board game map for Alice in Wonderland. It actually fits really well for her, right? And once I kind of came up with it in my head, it was like, well, how do you play this game? And the moment I asked that, like one of those things when you ask, you get an answer. And I came up with a really fun take on Snakes and Ladders, a really, really fun take on it that hasn't been done. And I'm going to market that as part. And also, I wrote the story with the game in mind.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I think that sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's going to be my first Kickstarter next year. There is a chance I might do that on Unbound. I'm going to check them out too next year, kind of see how it goes. So, but
and we talked about multi-releases, kind of the seeds that sometimes a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll release something on Kickstarter and then they'll go to say Indiegogo and then re-release it. Yeah. And then they'll go to a few places. That way it kind of grows the audience for you. They said that's something we can definitely do. He says, really the first one we want you to do, we want you to concentrate and focus on getting that one done and completed.
Yes. No, you totally should. The first time around, it's about getting it done. It's not about like getting all the bells and whistles and all that stuff. So I had this conversation with someone I really respect, and she said to me, okay, we were talking about publishing in general. Like there's indie, there's traditional, there's crowdfunding, because I think crowdfunding is kind of its own thing now. There's smaller niche publishers. There's a lot of different ways you can release a work now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not really about indie versus traditional anymore. It's about what audience serves you best, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I am going to try to draw today Mr. Miles Morales.
Ooh.
I'm going to try.
I dig Miles. What did you think about that trailer for the sequel to Enter the Spider-Verse?
I haven't seen it yet. No, dude. I've been busy.
How have you not seen it?
I've been busy, dude. I released a book. No, I released the book.
Okay.
I've been doing my show here, and I've been doing a new show on top of it. I've been busy, like legitimately busy.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like, oh wow, okay, because I wouldn't have expected you not to have seen it. Is the reason why.
As a general rule of thumb, honestly, I try to avoid trailers. I try.
Okay.
Because, I remember, not the sequel so much. Remember the first Matrix movie?
Yes.
That trailer told you nothing. And
not wrong.
Right. That trailer told you absolutely nothing. And I go in there expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I was curious, right? I was curious. And so suddenly, so when Neo takes the red pill in the story, like there's little weird bits of the story, but you're like, okay, maybe there's an explanation how the agents closed his mouth. You get it. When you get it, you're like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Right? So what I've worked at very hard doing now is, now if I'm not sure about let's say I'm not sure about something, right? Like the new Cowboy Bebop series that's already been canceled. So I'm not sure about something. Right?
Yeah.
Right? So my tendency when I'm not sure, then I'll watch a trailer. Right?
Okay.
Or occasionally I will break the rule. Like for example, I watched I watched a couple of the Deadpool trailers.
Okay.
That's because also I still remember when Wolverine, the original Wolverine movie with Deadpool that wouldn't talk. That hurt to have that
Yeah.
that
He'd be a better assassin if he had his mouth shut. I'm like, so you've just taken away the one thing that makes the merc with a mouth work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so I had to check the trailer for that because let's be honest, dude, I was worried they screwed it up. I was really worried they screwed it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a legit argument, right? So, but I don't generally look at them because if I know, like, I'm going to see it, right? If I know I'm going to see it, why see the trailer? I want as much surprise as I possibly can when I get to. I want to recommend. I want to recreate that feeling I had when I first saw The Matrix. That's what I want. I want that feeling of surprise, wonder, and like, holy shit, this is cool.
Gotcha.
I even avoided the Star Wars trailers when they were coming out. I avoided them. It's like I saw one coming. It's like, nope. And someone will look at me, why'd you do this? Like, I'm going to see this movie. Let me be surprised.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing that's really funny, and it's something I notice more with movie theaters now. The trailers don't mess with me as much, but it's that interchange between the people that are coming into the theater to see said movie versus people who've already seen said movie. It's the people that are literally doing this number. So I was in a movie theater recently and went to go see with my nephew, went to go see the Venom 2 Let There Be Carnage. And so there's a moment he asked me a question, and I said, well, hey, nephew, let's get outside, let's get in the car, because I don't want to unintentionally throw something out there that somebody may be coming into the movie theater to see and then overhear it, and then it mess up their experience.
Yeah.
I remember going to see episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Yeah, okay.
And so we're going to, me and a bunch of friends are going to the movie theater. It's like a Thursday night showing type thing. Like it's just because this was back when movies really didn't come out till Friday.
Yes.
And so I went back to go see it again that Friday. Well, when I went back to go see the movie, this guy comes out of the theater and says, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they killed Darth Maul. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's
why would you do that? And then, of course, this one woman who apparently, like, her kid was dressed like Darth Maul. Her kid had a bunch of Darth Maul toys. Her kid had the double lightsaber. This kid just sank. It started bawling. And so the mom is sitting there just looking at him. I came over and I said, are you happy? Do you want to tell him Santa Claus isn't real too? What else do you want to tell him? You don't tell him the Easter Bunny's gone? Like you kidnapped the Easter Bunny and took him out in the back? And what do you want to do to ruin this kid's life? He's like, oh, I was just talking to my buddy. You talk loudly to your buddy who was right next to you to the point where we all heard you say it. He's all like, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. It mattered to him.
Yeah.
Because obviously he really likes Darth Maul. He took the time to dress up, paint his face up.
Yep.
Bring all the toys, bring all the stuff I said. So the trailers don't mess with me so much as the people who don't consider other people. That's why it's funny how a lot of these movies come out now. They've got the don't spoil the movie, don't spoil. I mean, again, when Tom Holland is telling you don't spoil the movie, Mister Spoil the movie himself multiple times is telling you don't spoil the film. It's got out of control.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the person now I make a point. I forget the guy's Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo guy plays the Hulk. I refuse to listen to an interview of him. Refuse. Just they did a YouTube compilation of like right. Oh, Tina wishes us a great time. Hey guys. Hey Tina, how you doing?
Oh, Tina.
Yeah. How you doing? Yeah, we're going to be creative. We're going to be BSing because we haven't talked to each other in a long time, and honestly, I miss you, big guy. So, but the thing is, the thing is, right? With as far as Mark Ruffalo ruins every movie he's in. So I make a point. He does. There's a YouTube video of him spoiling every single. Now, one time I felt bad for him. It wasn't his fault. It's just the universe was just saying, "Dude, you got a problem," because his cell phone, like by accident, spoiled like the Avengers a little bit, and I didn't. Right, that wasn't him. I actually felt a little sorry for him there.
Yeah.
But every other time I have seen him do an interview, he has said something about a movie he's in that he shouldn't. He just shouldn't. And I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself and your fans? Watch his own cast members go, oh man, what are you doing, man? I've seen this a few times. He got away with it. One, he got away with because it sounded so outlandish until it happened. And you're like, oh God, I can't watch a movie. I can't watch an interview with you. Because as much as I like you, you're gonna fucking ruin the movie.
Right. That's a hard sale, especially when you're thinking about, okay, so Mark Ruffalo can't ruin this book. Like I think, you talk about that. I also love some of the banter that you get with some of the Marvel stars. Like Anthony Mackie was on stage with Tom Holland during the press junket for Endgame, and at one point Falcon is they're going like, I haven't seen any of the Spider-Man movies with this guy, and so that Tom Holland's response was, "Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen a Falcon movie. Oh, wait a minute."
Yes.
Everybody just looks at him like, "Oh."
It's like Tom Holland, sick burn.
That's okay though, because my boy got his series, and now he's gonna get his movie, so I'm good.
Well, he's a good choice. I think he's gonna be a great Captain America. I think he's gonna be a great one. That was always where that was going, and I am happy to see it. I am really, really am. Although, like I said in a previous interview, I am not watching another Avengers movie in all likelihood. I applaud Marvel very much for the feat they did with creating like a cohesive like 20 movie epic. Yeah. But I realize that for me to get to enjoy an Avengers movie, I have to literally watch a whole bunch of different movies to get that full story experience. So I don't really want to do that again. It's not a knock to anyone that wants to. So I'm probably going to stay away from the Avengers stuff. But I'm going to pick my little like nook and corners of the Marvel universe I'm still a big fan of. Like, I want to see the next Thor movie. I want to see the next Guardians movie whenever that comes out. I want to see there's a couple like new ones I'm going to check out and try. I wasn't crazy about the idea of the Eternals, so I avoided that one. But like just go into some of the spots. Like I'm really curious where they go with Black Panther. Like I'm super curious what they're going to do with that.
Well, I know Jen King was in New York, I think, for a con or somewhere, and she was saying that they were filming part of Black Panther, and so part of the problem with that was I think Letitia Wright re-injured an old injury or something like that. So of course everybody's running around like, oh, they stopped filming again. It's just like, well, dude, if you got injuries, you got to deal with. You got to let people rest, especially when they're the star of the show.
Yep. just since you are now the star of the show, because
you know.
yeah,
So that's just the reality on it. So I mean, you can't fault her for taking a nudge and hey, I don't want to sit there and hurt myself worse.
yeah, oh yeah, totally.
She does, and the thing is, she's doing, she like a lot of the actors and actresses for a lot of these movies. They're starting to branch out and do other stuff besides Marvel things now.
Well, yeah, that's the inevitable. Like the reality of the situation is, right? That's going to be the reality going forward, right? Is that Marvel has created new stars that are going to do their own things. Some of them tremendously their own things, some of them not so much.
Right.
Right? Right? But it's okay. Like there's a nook and there's a place for everybody. Like I don't think Dave Bautista comes back as Drax after the next Guardians movie. I don't see it.
He
I
has
could.
already advised that's the case. He
Yeah.
basically said, I'm 55 years old and I cannot continue to keep up the physical regimen that comes with being Drax.
Yep. Yep.
Because he talks about how he has to cut so much weight and all this other stuff just to even pull it off.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't physically continue to do it. And so I love James Gunn. I told him I would commit to these 3 movies, and I'm good. Yep. And I don't mind that. I get it. I mean, if I had a body that looked half as good as his does when he's not trying to work out super hard to get it to look like Drax, I'd be happy. Like I need Dave Bautista body dad bod where he still has abs that are visibly there.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I am not too proud to say I would love to be able to. Now, granted, I don't know that I'm willing to put in the work to get that kind of body, which is part of the thing.
Well, yeah. At least you're honest about it, right? At least you're being honest about that, right? You know what? I don't need it that badly. That's fair. I can't argue with that.
Because, because that's the thing. Like you hear people say all the time, "Oh man, I want this or I want that." And it's like, are you willing to put in the work to get that though?
Yeah,
that's going to take some work.
I have friends who are models, right? Who are actually like they work hard. Like a lot of people don't say it's like it's hard to build a look and it's hard to do that. You got to put the effort and time in, and that takes dedication, a very very special kind of dedication to do that.
Yeah.
So like. And so I have a much bigger respect for models than I did in the past, and so because again it's the work, the photo shoot isn't the work, it's the conditioning, the preparation, the desire to hold on a second, I should probably ink that before I start coloring. Inking before coloring, right, good sir?
Yes.
This is my first attempt at Miles. It's not the greatest, but I am curious what you think, or what you're going to think, good sir, because art has come a long way since you last were on the show.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So what do you think? Am I getting good at this?
I think you're definitely getting better. I see a lot of improvement going on. I see a lot more volume in the shapes. I see a lot more attention to detail.
Yes.
So I mean, it's all part of the journey. Somebody asked me one day and said, well, how did you get so good at drawing? I said, I did it a lot and threw away a bunch of stuff.
I actually gave away my first art book to my grandmother, one of my grandmothers. Here you go. I thought that was the right thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. I wish I had a red marker, like an ink pen, but I get it too because so I might have to play with that a little bit when this is over, but no, no. Someone actually said I'm developing a style, which is kind of like, that's cool.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. I mean, your first step is always the basics. You always want to make sure you get your basics down. I think somebody asked Jim Lee one day. He said, "How do people draw as good as you?" He's like, "Don't." They're like, "What do you mean?" He said, "Because there's certain things about the stuff I do that are ticks that I know are horrible that you'll never know." He said, I don't want you to draw like me. I want you to draw better than me. I want you to be more disciplined. I want you to learn the basics. I want you to understand volume, shape, and all those things that I don't necessarily always get. And I'm looking at the artwork going, I don't see how you say you don't get these things because I'm looking and seeing all that in it.
So sometimes they just don't think about it. They just do it, right?
It's to the point for him. I think it's just exactly that. He does it so much. It's not really something he thinks about anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's conscious incompetence is what they call that. So yeah, I totally get that. So yeah. So I'll publicly say this on the air,
Okay.
dude. Thank you for drawing with me for the last little bit.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Well, it's flattering, right? Because I'm just a dude with a big mouth, and I get all these wonderful, talented people like yourself to come on my show to draw, and I'm always grateful for that.
Well, and I realize too, it gives me opportunities to draw stuff that I may not normally draw because I don't usually, if I draw Spider-Man, I will always tend to cheat and I'll typically do like I'm going to do, I'm going to do Venom suit Spider-Man. That way all I have to do is just do the basic outline with the eyes and
Yeah,
it's black
he's a
out
lot
right
of
instead of it.
detail. He's so a lot of detail. Like I'm like that's why I chose Miles because Miles isn't as crazy detail, but he still got a lot.
Oh yeah, well, just the design when you look at the hoodie, and I mean they've just revealed a new Miles outfit. I mean, he has a totally different set of things going on with that, to where like it's just a whole lot more urban, a little bit neo-futuristic.
Yep.
Styles. Yeah, the hoodie with the red, with more of the red eyeline, but it kind of follows all the way down like into his jacket and then into the suit.
Yeah.
So the red carries over a lot easier, a lot better.
Yes. That's what makes part of what makes Miles so different is that desire. Like I said, one of the things I'll be playing with next year is depth of lines, but I've gone to the color side of the force, my friend. Gone to the way of color.
Okay.
And who knows? I'm actually this is my holiday. I'm finishing the next draft of my next release, sending it to beta readers over the holidays, and then I get to start drawing that book. I am absolutely terrified, but like in the best way, if that makes sense.
That's the part of it that's the most frustrating. It's the getting in there and getting the work done. Mm-hmm. And because I feel like with Harbinger's story, which is, I've got a title for it. It's referred to as the title of it is In Harbinger's Way.
Ooh.
Because the question is, what's in his way?
Yeah.
So it creates an interesting dilemma because you're sitting there looking at this tower of a monster of a man. And it's just like, what gets in his way? Well, you'll have to see the story to find out.
It's also just one of those ominous things. Like, wait, you're in the way of this? How are you in the way of this? The answer is magic. Well, we'll find out when we get there.
There'll be some of that too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's you, my friend.
I laughed the other day. I was sitting there drawing a picture, and I was going, and I was sitting there literally going on Pinterest and going, I need to research what a dragon, but not like a typical dragon. I want to do a dragon the way I would do a dragon. If dragons didn't exist, and somebody said, hey, can you design a creature that does X, Y, and Z and breathes fire and may or may not talk? It's like, yeah, I can do that. I'm just trying to do something that's not the typical thing.
Well, no, I so my Alice story, I based the dragon off of Jason and the Argonauts. Ooh. That's in the story. The one that doesn't slave. Mm-hmm. He was actually fun to write. He was a little crazy.
Well, I saw a video that I thought about you because I know you've been doing a lot with the Alice stuff, and it was literally one of these YouTube videos on. They do like the messed up origins of different characters and things like that. But one of the things he did, he turned it around a bit. It was just like, here are the top things you should never do with Alice. And so, like, he was talking about all these different things. Well, you shouldn't just consider it some wacky psychological story. It's not a story where, there's a whole lot of drugs involved. It's not a story of this. It's not a story of this.
Well, it depends on who
you yeah, but here's the problem with all that. Who gets to be the person who tells somebody who's creating the story that's in public domain what it can't be? You know,
And
I
it's one of the
mean,
best.
that's what.
It's one of the best public domain stories too, because it's got so many cool interpretations out there.
Right. I mean, what if the Alice story involves, her being a spy for MI6? And what if the whole thing about Alice in Wonderland, you find out, is actually her being put under this huge hallucinogenic thing to try to break her down so she starts spilling the secrets?
Yep.
And then maybe all these things are related to agents that she works with in MI6. Well, then you've got another agent who's trying to find her and get her out before she starts cracking.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a
That's
whole
cool.
other side of the story. It's like maybe the Cheshire Cat is actually like Agent Cheshire or something like that. That's like, and you just have this interesting way of doing it to where you just be like, so you gotta tell me that I can't do that? I mean, I guess you can.
So then, in that case, my friend, like, I want your Alice story. I want Alice Secret Agent now.
Well, I can't give everything away.
Okay.
I gotta save something for later.
Okay.
Oh, trust me, no, that's already in the works. Like everything prepared, it's just like written down. That's coming. That wasn't me just making that off the top of my dome. That's all.
I
Yeah.
know. Damn, I want to read that. I want to read that because that'd be interesting. My take on Alice was Greek mythology. I mastered with Greek myth. Right? That was my take on her. So I want to read yours because yours sounds actually really fun too.
I mean, she may be related to other fairy tale type people who may, get involved in this whole thing by the time it's all over with.
Cool.
Like in my head, everything fits together in one big old huge bundle. Of course, you could also say that about Christmas. But I was in a store yesterday, and somebody was playing the old song from The World Without a Santa. The snow miser and the heat miser song.
Okay.
So yeah, that got me thinking of something for another Santa project. Because it's like, so you got these two brothers who one is always considered the hothead, the other one's always considered like the guy who, he's so cool it's almost off-putting. So, but then what happens when, Krampus comes in and Krampus is like trying to manipulate them both? And does Jack Frost get involved? I don't know. I mean, Jack Frost could be involved.
Hey, dude, there are no rules to how you tell a story.
Nope.
No rules. It's got to make sense, right? It's got to make sense on some level, right? Doesn't even have to always make like perfect sense. It just the tone has to fit.
Right.
Right? The tone has to fit. But beyond that, dude, go nuts. Whatever. My next project after the book I'm drawing, I get to work with somebody I really, 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 really am excited to work with, and that's On Vu. I get to work with On. We already got the
On is awesome people.
Yeah. No, she is. I can't wait. Like we've already kind of like we had like a quiet meeting. It's like, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this and this. She's like, I'm in. It's
there
like,
you go.
Also, she gave me probably one of the nicest compliments I think I've ever gotten. It's like, I've read your stuff. I have faith in you to be able to put together a good story for me to work with. And I'm like, that I'll take that.
Dig it.
So,
all right. So
I'm still working on mine, but I got the basics here in the sense that, like, again, I'm still not worried about perfect, but I'm trying to get the details better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I heard Les Brown say something a while back. Les Brown is a old school motivational speaker. Before Tony Robbins came around and other people, I mean, Les Brown was kind of always out there. And he was at some function, he was speaking, and he was just like, he said, practice and practice and practice and practice. And he's like, practice makes what? And they were like, perfect. No, get rid of that line of thinking, because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, nope. He's right. He's absolutely right.
He's like, practice makes better.
Yes. No, it's true. That's it.
So when you hear people say, "Oh, well, there are artists that we follow." Alex Ross is a perfect example. He says, "I don't know." He said in an interview one time, he said, "I don't know how many pieces of canvas I just threw away. I couldn't stand what I had created." And I'm sitting there going, like people would pay top dollar for his trash stuff.
Yep. Oh yeah. I get that too a little bit though. There's pride, right? You take pride in your work,
All
and
right, you want to make sure that the work is good and copyable. It's something that you enjoy. You want when you put it into the world, you want it to bring somebody something that's a good emotion.
mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't bring that, if you don't feel like it's going to do that, you don't want to put it out there.
Exactly. Exactly. I understand. So I learned something about Miles Morales' design that I both love and hate.
And what's that?
I love the red and black simplicity, but now I understand why the spider webbing is red. It breaks the monotony of the black up.
Yeah.
I understand it now.
Well,
I learned something today.
Yeah, the
Woohoo!
beautiful thing about the Miles Morales thing, and I really didn't realize it till Into the Spider-Verse. And I went back and read some of the old comics. It's such a tip to the hat to his uncle.
Yes.
Because his uncle was the guy who would go out and have him tag stuff. And so it speaks to that New York idea of the beauty and the art of the tag. Mm-hmm. And so you think about that kind of heritage which goes into it, but then also you look at like his mom and his dad and this kind of blended idea of the family unit that works really well as far as raising him and working hard to make sure he is all he
I
needs
love
to be.
his family unit. His family unit is way more interesting. I actually think it's more interesting than Peter's is. My opinion. Just my opinion.
My podcast co-host, he made a comment one day. We were talking about something about Aunt May. He was just like, should Aunt May have died like 10 years ago?
Oh, yes. God, yes.
I love Aunt May, but I think there's a point where the stories don't work with her anymore. Like at some point, like they have to come up with these cockamamie ways in order to like do these contrived stories to make it work for her as a character. And I'm going, or you could just let her go.
It would be so much better
for Peter. I feel like there's an opportunity for growth in him in a different way. And you don't need it to be some tragic situation where, it's similar to Uncle Ben's death, he didn't pay attention. And then something like that happened. No, it could be something as simple as she just looks at him, smiles, and says, "Go be the hero you were destined to be." And that's when you realized that she knew the whole time.
Yeah, it depends on which version, right? I mean, Spider-Man in the Marvel universe, she figured it out.
She's aware, yeah.
But
she walked in. Yeah, she walks in.
Yeah, so
to sees it.
But
the Marissa Tomei of it all.
Oh, it was. I like the take there. It was. I enjoyed J. Michael Straczynski's take on that relationship too. I thought that was really well done. But yeah, it's just one of those. It's one of those books where you read it, go, nope, it's not for me, or it's for me, and no, I actually love the inversion of the uncle dynamic with Miles. I like the idea that his uncle isn't a good person, and there's that. So the sense of responsibility now isn't because his uncle was so good, but because his uncle's such a terrible person. I think that's such an interesting dynamic, and I think it adds a layer to Miles that Peter doesn't have. Because Miles is aware in ways Peter is not how dark the world can be, and how to deal with family that instead of that motivates you to be a better person, you have to be the better person to show them. I think that's a really, really interesting take on Miles that I really enjoy about him. I think that's something uniquely him, and I like that a lot. So
Yeah,
that's me.
definitely. Definitely. I think when it comes to that, I mean, you definitely look at somebody like Miles in that situation and you say, so what do I have to like? It's even the fact that, his dad's a cop and his dad's not necessarily keen. Even in the comics, he wasn't necessarily keen on Spider-Man running around and saving the day because it felt like it was a jab at his profession.
Yeah.
Like, why is it people love this guy but don't like us? And we're here doing this every day. We're here making the tough calls. We're here for the sacrifice. We're here for all that. But yet this guy can run around in a suit and be considered better than us by the community. And more
Well,
trusted.
that actually feels like his J. Jonah Jameson, just a little bit closer, because right, just a little bit closer to
The home.
yeah. Spider-Man is always a menace thing. Someone always sees him as a menace. That in this story is his dad again, which I think is a really cool inversion of Spider-Man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because it ends up putting it, because then the secret identity becomes a thing too, because it becomes that much more something he
Yeah,
has to hold on to. Because if his dad were to
exactly.
find out, how would that question? And I always kind of felt like his mom kind of knows.
Well, I don't know if she knows he's Spider-Man.
I think she knows there's something going
Oh,
on.
yeah, you don't fool your mom.
Yeah, you don't fool you don't fool mama. She
Yeah.
kind of knows
Yep.
something's up. She just doesn't know what.
Exactly. That's it. Right? Yeah. And that's pretty much it, right? And that's fine. I want that,
Mhm.
right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
So this was definitely a cool learning experience. I'm almost done, but it was definitely a learning experience for me to draw Spider-Man for the first time like this, Miles for the first time.
Well, 2021 is almost over.
Yes, it is.
So I've got another question for you. Since we're
Okay.
in mode of thinking and thinking beyond, thinking into the new year. Beyond the land of Alice, beyond the land of all the glitter and gold that you're walking into in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
My question for you is, what is something that you've learned in 2021 that you can take into your 2022?
My confidence as a freelancer. By So when you first start freelancing, I don't know how far you've gone on your own freelance career, my friends. I can't comment on your experiences, but I will comment on mine. So the first year when I decided to be a freelancer, try freelancing out, I was in Windsor, Ontario. I went back home, figured get started, learn the lessons I need to learn, and go forward. Find work, prove myself. So I ended up doing temp work from time to time just to get money coming in, right? But I was no longer interested in working full time.
Right.
So there was a point this year. So now I don't. Part of the problem being a freelancer, this is the issue when you do go back to work for somebody. If I ever have to go back to work for somebody, I'm gonna have to accept this as part of the deal. It's the fact that I no longer look at my boss as a boss. I can't do it. I just
Okay.
can't. Right? Because I've been on, I got too much experience working for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't see a boss the same way anymore. I just can't. But, so in August of this year, I was fired from a job within 2 days. Did nothing wrong. Like this was one of those ones where I could see I had a reason to be fired. No, I actually had no reason to be fired.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right. I had no good reason to be fired. Just I was let go. Just the afternoon came and I was like, okay. The universe told me, Josh, you're ready to do this. And so the big thing I took out of this year was I developed the confidence to go like I can do this. There's no doubt anymore. And it's open in 6 months. I made more money this year in 6 months than I did the year previous because I was a lot more
Okay.
confident in myself. There's a lot more confidence there. I have a very specific idea what I can offer. For example, I make videos. I can do audio. I can write books. I'm still writing books. My story is I can create various different forms of stories in various different medias. That's my strength. It doesn't matter what kind it is. I can do a serious news show. I can do this, a podcast. I can write books with poetry. I can do like novels. I'm doing illustrations now. I can do this. And that's a huge, not what if I screw it up? I can do this. Huge mentality shift. I am at the point, like I said, I make 4 figures as a freelancer on a regular basis now. So now the next step for me is to get to the point where I make that comfortably mid 4 figure mark I want, that I don't have to work for anyone I don't want to. That's the next step. Okay. I think I can get there. I think I can get there as early as the spring.
Okay.
Right. Maybe that sounds incredibly cocky, but I don't think it is. I think it's actually possible. Right. So, but I had to learn the mentality that takes. Because it's more a mental game than it's more a mental game than it is your skills. And that's not to say skills aren't important. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it's you have to have the audacity to believe you're worth something. Your time is worth something. Your energy is worth something. Your expertise is worth something.
Right.
So in this year, I found my worth. So now, like I said, I just applied for a podcast producer job for a major newspaper because I'm definitely qualified to do it, and I'm worth the price I asked for. That might sound very cocky to someone from the outside looking in, but you have to be this way. You have to believe in your own worth. And I know what my story is. My goal is to teach people next year, in terms of my story, my universal message is that fear is not a cage, it's a door. And what you really want in this life, the fears and discomforts you have are the keys to your freedom, not to your prison. All you gotta do is walk through them. My stories, my show, everything I do has ties into that big time. So that's what I've learned. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to encourage people to face their fears. I'm going to encourage people to use them to prepare them to where they're supposed to be and where they go. Because I believe we can be anything we want to be. But the challenge is to convince others that they can be who they want to be.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can dig that. Now, I'll advise for myself if you don't mind.
Yes.
Your circumstances, while important in the moment, depending on what they are, because sometimes your circumstances are self-inflicted. If you don't pay your bills, they're going to come cut your lights off. If they don't pay your bills, they're going to cut your phone off. If you don't pay your, self-inflicted things. And then there are other things that you cannot control.
Yep.
But your circumstances don't have power unless you give them that power.
Yes. That's totally true.
Because,
at the end of the day,
yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
At the end of the day, I think the hardest truth for most of us to realize is no matter what, no matter your circumstances, whether you self-inflict, whether you don't, we do what we want to do. Sometimes we need time, like certain circumstances, sometimes we need time to heal. But at the end of the day, if William Holland tomorrow says, I'm going to make the greatest Harbinger story of all freaking time, and nobody can stop me, the world can end and you're going to still write that damn story. And nothing anyone can do about it, right? So that's our power as people. We do exactly what we want to do. The challenge for most of us, right? The challenge for most of us is our wants are we serving, our conscious ones, things we really want, or our unconscious ones. And that's why fear is a very important thing, because understanding fear is a very powerful motivator, just like what's going on right now, right? Fear is a powerful motivator. It's not the only motivator, though. And it can't rule you. You got to be very careful to let fear rule you. And the fact of the matter is, right, in this time, in this place, a lot of people are ruled by fear. But they're serving a want nonetheless when they do it. It's just not necessarily a want that's beneficial for them. So you got to be very, very careful, right? You got to be very, very careful what you serve when you pursue what you want, because depending on what you serve, you're going to have to deal with the outcome of that. And so that's the thing. I'm not stopping myself from being creative. I'm not stopping myself from finding work for myself as a creative, because that's what I want. I believe I can get it. I believe I'm good enough to get it. I've been played plenty of times as a creative this last year. It proves to me that I can do it. I have received dozens of paychecks, right? I've received dozens of paychecks this year for my creative work. Some passive income, some, freelance services. So, and the more I do it, the more confident I am I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, as long as I don't quit, as long as I don't stop, I'm going to get to where I want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Because, and the thing about the circumstantial stuff, I mean, and I've talked to you about a lot of stuff offline. There's been a lot of things been going on in my world. There's been a lot of loss. There's been a lot of growth. There's been a lot of days where it's just been like, wow, I'm getting out of bed for this.
Yes.
And sometimes it's like, I'm getting out of bed. And then sometimes it's like, am I really getting out of bed for this though? But
no.
The thing about it is that when it's all said and done, the battle you fight is, I know I'm not where I want to be, but it's up to me to decide if I stay here or not.
That is correct.
Because the final outcome, I have to be willing to put in the work. Yep. It's not going to be handed to me. Nobody's going to come and be like, here is, X amount of billions of dollars to produce this really cool thing that you want to do. It's not going to happen.
Well, here's the thing, good sir. I'm going to
Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
I'm not waiting on that to happen, if it were.
That'll give you, right? That I will give you. Because you never, William, you might give me an email tomorrow and say, hey, Josh, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Come on down. I'll take care of you. I'm like, wait, what? I made it. And then you just, I'll see you like your own like little money bin. You'll be jumping in like Scrooge McDuck. Oh, going like, yeah, I did it. I did it. Right. But here's the thing, right? So here's my first attempt. First attempt.
All right. Gotcha.
Not bad.
So I will start mine. I'm not quite finished with mine yet, but I will.
It's my first attempt.
So
this is drink and draw, so we got to show at least the drawing. Holy crap, dude. You're awesome.
This is my little chibi Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's kind of hanging upside down doing what he does because, he's flying around, shooting that next web out. I always loved, especially in the comics, when Peter ran out of ink. Ran out of, not ink, but ran out of web.
Web fluid, yeah.
Because at that point, because he made it himself, but he only had a limited supply. So he couldn't just run around willy-nilly, because if he did and forgot to make sure he had plenty, now he's trying to scramble to figure out how to land and not die from it.
Yes.
So that was always something that was interesting, especially as a kid comes in there going like, man, what would that be like if I could make my own stuff? How much would I have to? It's like thinking about like how long do you have on a marker before it runs out of ink?
Yes.
And it feels like something like somebody would be like, oh, I don't feel like that makes sense. Oh, it makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever been like doing a caricature gig at somebody's birthday party and you start feeling the drag of the marker on paper.
Oh, yeah.
That's the moment you're just sitting there going like, I need more pens. Like, I can't run like this for another 20 minutes.
Well, no, it's just reality, right? It's that realistic. Oh shit, the car can run out of gas, right? It
Right.
can happen, right? And then you got to deal with it. It's like, well, what are you gonna do? Deal with my crap because that's what you're gonna do,
Yep.
right? So, right, that again, that's what part of what made Spider-Man cool. It's just like, hey, he dealt with stuff I could connect to. My crap
Right.
runs out too. Oh, right, but it's all. I mean, that's the appeal to Spider-Man, right? Is he's got a bit of that everyman to him. Like he's a modern day Percival. That's what he is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's totally what he is, and I totally dig that. And as a result, it's like, okay, this is just a really cool concept. Like this was my first attempt at coloring Miles Morales as Spider-Man, and I'm like, how did I do? I'll give myself a B minus. Not because I think it's the greatest thing ever, but it was my first time, and I learned some
Right.
stuff, right? And I
It's
and I
cool to see
finished.
you experimenting with new things too. I think that's really neat for you.
Yeah. Well, you got to. I mean, how else do you grow?
Yeah.
All right.
Valid question.
Yeah. So now that all said, I will say this: the next time we do this, we'll talk into the Spider-Verse. We'll do into the Spider-Verse stuff next time.
We'll do.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one yet, so I'll see the trailer. I'll get just for you, my friend. I will go out of my way to check out Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, the trailer, of course, the movie won't come out till I want to say summer the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So Lord willing, and we make it to see it.
Oh, well, I think we will. I mean, guy might say it's my time, but you know what? That's that. But then it's not my. Then I'll get to watch it. I will still get to watch it. I'll just watch it in other places. I'll be good. But no, I look at it I just look at it from the point of view that it like it's like Spider-Verse is Marvel's attempt at the multiverse. I like some of the characters they've created as a result of it. Spider-Gwen, for example, is kind of fun, right? But hmm, I like classic Spider-Man eyes over the
I
modern
I just
suit.
need a scene. This is my wish list thinking, so you can love it or hate it. I just need one moment where there's a Spider-Man jumping down in the middle of thing, like there's a slip up or something, like there's a web slip and he's falling, and all of a sudden, like Miles is falling, and all of a sudden you just see a gigantic robot hand catch it, and all of a
Japanese.
sudden you see the Japanese Spider-Man doing the
Oh,
emissary from hell thing, and he's just got the
Japanese Spider-Man's amazing.
with
It's
Leopold,
amazing.
and I just like that's all I need. Like he's in the Spider Warriors and some of the other comics, but I would love to see him in like the
Oh
Spider-Verse
yeah.
movie. I think it would fit so well.
Oh,
So, could you imagine? Could
I
you?
would pop. I'd
Yeah, could
pop.
you imagine? What's her name? The one from the first movie where she had the little Spider Man. Could you imagine a brief moment where she just looks up and she's like, "Oh."
Yeah. No, it's like, so for those of you who haven't, you need to find Japanese Spider-Man. You just need to.
Disney
It is
Plus did a whole full blown documentary on him, like a 45-minute documentary on that Spider Man.
yeah. So let me explain this to anybody that has not seen that version of Spider-Man. Here's the
Mm-hmm.
deal. He is essentially the Japanese incarnation of Spider-Man. He's not what I would call um, he's not what I would call classic Spidey. He's classic Spidey, but he's got kind of like how do I put this? He's got like he's got a lot of like stuff you've seen in Power Rangers. You will see with this Spider-Man, including like a giant like mech suit, which is like a giant mech to fight big giant monsters with.
Yep.
It's so
Basically
obnoxious.
a precursor to the Power Rangers by about 10 years.
Yes,
So a lot of people are like, oh, they stole that from Power Rangers. It's like, no, actually, Power Rangers stole that from them.
yes, that's right. It is
So,
not. Yes, Spider-Man had the original Megazord, ladies and gentlemen. He truly did. I had Megazord. That's right.
yep. And it's really cool to think about that and think about the fact that you go from that to like he had the flying car.
Yep. Oh yeah. Just this. I mean, that Spider-Man is crazy. Like it's fun, but not because not for the same reasons, but it's a fun take on Spider-Man. It's a really fun take on Spidey.
Yeah, and it's definitely interesting. The whole, it's aliens from the planet Spider come down. and
Yes.
he tries to save this alien. So basically, it's like if they took the Green Lantern origin, but they mixed it with Spider-Man, so that the alien gave him the spider powers instead of a spider bite.
Well, that kind of, honestly, I have to admit this. That kind of did happen. Kind of. Kyle Rayner is pretty much a Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He's pretty much a Peter Parker. Like I can't deny that. So
I do love some Kyle Rayner, especially the
yeah.
whole him being an artist thing and him doing all the art stuff. And
Oh yeah.
like, I forget what it was one time. He was fighting some villain, and they were like, "You don't have the imagination to stomach the willpower of the things I'm going to do to you." He's like, "Wait, I don't have the imagination? I don't have the," and like he's just screaming, "I don't have the imagination." And the next thing you know, he's just ring slings. And like he literally creates a mech out of just nowhere. And he's in it, just missiles blaring and everything. And then he like comes up behind him and does like this crazy sword dash attack from like a video game. And he's just like video game combos out of video game combos for like 10 panels. And then the guys just sit on like, wait, how can you do all this? You're just ran on willpower. He says, no, sir. I'm an artist. All I have is imagination.
Yeah, no.
Unleashes this crazy barrage of attacks, and it's just like there's nothing this guy can do.
Well, yeah.
Ends up running away, I think.
Well, I'd run away too. The guy from the Magic Ring. I mean,
yeah,
I'd run away. Listen, I'm not ashamed to admit it. What do you do against a guy with a magic ring? I'd run or try to steal the ring, one or the other.
Yeah, unless you're Batman, because one of the Justice League animated series movies, they had a thing where like Kyle, not Kyle, it was actually Hal. Hal was sitting there and he was talking to Batman. Next thing you know, Batman just takes the ring from him. He's all like, "Oh, you mean this?" He's just like, "How'd you do that? You can't do." He said, and then he puts it back on. And a few seconds later, he takes it again. He's just like, "Yeah, pretty much I can do this whatever I want to do."
Yeah, because Hal's oblivious.
Because I'm Batman. Like, that's pretty much the mantra of most Batman comics these days. It's just like, da 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 da, because I'm Batman.
That's right. Hey, listen, my favorite Batman of all time is Lego Batman. Did you ever see the Lego movie?
Yes.
That was my favorite Batman ever.
Yes, I did. That was quite incredible.
It's like, what makes you so cool? I'm Batman. Damn it.
Exactly. All that needs to be said. It's like somebody said something about, well, what if Batman versus such and such, but with no contingency plan? Like, when would you know Batman not to have a contingency plan?
Actually, the way to beat Batman is, well, the way to use that against him. In fact, he has to plan for everything, which means you can surprise him, right? It is possible, right? So
I would assume it's possible as any other human being could be surprised, but I mean, Alfred could kill him in his sleep for all we know.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the way you do that is you just mind control Alfred and have Alfred kill him while he's sleeping. But I mean, it's just like watching old Super Friends cartoons and going, so if Lex Luthor could get like a spy satellite thingy or a video camera just to go in the Hall of Justice somehow, and like just whenever they come up with their plans, just literally watch the plans and then do everything against them.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
There's an easy way to fix this problem if you really want to be the baddest bad guys on the planet.
So now you got me thinking about Austin Powers. Hey, Dad, I got a gun. Let's kill him. Shush, shush. Shush. But shush. It's like, shush.
I could just shoot him right now.
Yeah, exactly. just kill him. We don't have to deal with this no more.
Exactly. It makes you think, was Scott the smartest amongst all of them? But no one listened to him.
Well, yeah, he was. That was the joke, right? And then there's the guy that just couldn't die easy. Like you felt sorry for him after a while because it's just like, it's like you hear it. Oh my God, I've broken this thing. You just hear him screaming and crying, and it's like finally, like Dr. Evil just go kill him. Bang! Dr. Evil just waits. Does he say anything? Okay, he's dead. Okay, that's move on. Now we can move on.
Right.
Right. Because that's what makes like I said, but yeah, like the original time I saw that plant, like that whole concept explored a little bit, was in a Vertigo comic called Black Orchid. So the bad guy kills Black Orchid in the first 5 pages. I'm not going to tell you my complicated plan. I'm just going to kill you because that's what I should do. That's what he does. Right? It's not complicated. It's pretty simple. I'm going to kill you because I don't need to tell you my plan. I'm not going to, because it's a very Batman like 1960s cartoon.
Trope, right?
Or the show from the 60s, which, say what you will about it, that Batman show's got fans, man, because it's a fun, silly Batman. So when you see that,
wait, old chum, we have to make sure to go into the bank before we go into the bank. We have to make sure that the old lady gets across the street properly, that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, it was that cartoon was the most obnoxious thing in the world, but here they were, some of the most talented actors of their time. Guess what, guys? You're doing a kids show. What are we doing? We're dressing up as goofy characters trying to kill Batman. Cool. And everybody in there, you could tell, was just having fun.
Except for Cesar Romero, because he had all that mustache. He had all that makeup painted up in his mustache because he wouldn't shave it. Except for Cesar Romero. Everybody else was good but him.
Yes. That's why the Joker only showed up so few times. But you get to have some fun. You just get to have some fun. That's where all the convoluted, like, master plan villain stuff comes from. Comes from Batman. Instead of saying I'm Batman, we should be saying it's all Batman's fault. That's what we should be saying. How dare you, Batman?
Instead of I'm Batman, it's like we blame Batman for this.
Yeah, that's right. Blame Batman for everything. Just blame him. And why, folks? Because Batman. If it wasn't for Batman, we wouldn't have convoluted plots from villains doing stupid stuff. When the solution's like just shoot him. Just shoot him. I have a gun. Seriously, I got a gun. I'll go get it. We can just kill him. We'll kill him right now.
Well, you think about that, and you think about like Watchmen and that infamous moment where Ozymandias is talking about this interesting thing, and they're going, "Why would you tell us this plan just for us to stop you?" And he's like, "What do you mean, stop me? I did this 25 minutes ago." It's just like, what? Wait a minute. This doesn't happen.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point.
Only Alan Moore can sit there and be like, what if we did a plan, but the villain enacted it before he told everybody what was going on?
Because that actually makes sense.
We're just
Why would I tell you my master plan if you can stop me?
Right. Not going to do that. It's not how that works. But that's what he did. And I understand, a lot of people will look at at Alan Moore as like a crotchety old man who doesn't let people play with his play box. But I'm like, if I'm the person with all over the play box, I understand why. Especially if you've proven that you don't play with my toys well, a la, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes. Or Watchmen itself. I mean, Alan Moore is one of the most cautionary tales in all of comics because he had a mega hit that DC never paid him properly for.
No. They didn't.
So, I'd be a crotchety old man too.
Well, and even for him to say stuff like, this type of stuff should never be in films. Like, why do they keep making movies of this stuff? This was never meant to be put on the screen. It was always, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's just being. I'm like, no, dude. Sometimes when you put stuff out there, you know what you're writing for.
I mean, yeah. Although I do disagree with him there, I do share people's. I get why people disagree with him there.
Yeah, but he always felt like it was more of a visual medium type thing. Like, why is this?
That's why I think the movie. That's why the movie thing works, in my opinion. But there are differences between a good comic and a good movie. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a great comic, not so great a movie.
Not so great as a film, yeah. Well, and it's an interesting, great premise too. But again, do you make that into a 2-hour blockbuster hit? I don't know.
It would have been better as a miniseries.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they came out with this years before Netflix was a thing.
Hey, listen, remember, movie studios took away Deadpool's mouth. It took away Deadpool's mouth. So listen, I don't know if I made Spider-Man or if I made a ninja. What do you think? Did I make Spider-Man or did I make a ninja?
I see the head of Spider-Man. I mean, is it possible that you created another variant of Spider-Man?
It's possible. Maybe what if Miss Marvel and Spider-Man had a kid, and that was Miles Morales. Thank you.
Right? I was just thinking more along the lines of Spider Ninja.
Spider Ninja. Okay, I made a Spider Ninja. Hey, Maddie, what we're doing is I am trying to draw Spider-Man. I am drawing Spider-Man as terribly as I possibly can. Actually, I'm trying to get good at drawing Spider-Man. He's trickier than I knew. Spider-Man is deceptively tricky, and me and William are just shooting the breeze as we always do because William here is one of the most talented dudes you'll ever meet. So talented that I actually call that's a Spider-Man. That's a Spider-Man right there, Maddie. If you are there, right? That is Spider. That is a Spider-Man. And that is, he's a really talented dude. See, here's my ninja Spidey. We're gonna call him.
I show the other one. You gotta show the Miles one.
Oh, I'll show Miles. I'm showing Ninja Spidey first, and then my experiment in color. I just gave myself a crack at Miles Morales. It's a crack at him.
I like the action of it.
Yes, it's not. This is where I kind of wish I had a couple different blocks, like a couple different ones, because he's a very nuanced blocks all over the place. Yeah. Well, thanks, Maddie. By the way, Maddie says hi to you, William.
Hello, Maddie.
Yes. That's right. So, that's right. Harrison? Hi, Harrison. Harrison's her 3-year-old. Harrison held me hostage on the air. Held me and Maddie hostage. He like on her episode, Maddie had to negotiate with him for about 20 minutes. It's part of the show. It just 3-year-olds take over. 3-year-olds just take over.
That's not hard to do.
No, it's not. And I realize my importance in the grand scheme of things when that happens. Like 3-year-old wins. The 3-year-olds win. Oh, he loves Spider-Man. That's cool.
Spider-Man is a cool, beloved character with a lot of kiddos.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He's fun. Spidey can be a lot of fun. Actually, you know what we should ask? I should ask you, who's your favorite Spider-Man?
Who's my favorite Spider-Man? Wow. Okay, hang on. Actually, I'm not going to be able to answer the who as much as the when.
Yeah, sure.
So when Spider-Man had the power cosmic, when he was possessed by Captain Universe, There is an
Okay.
infamous cover that I believe Tom McFarlane may have drawn. Spider-Man is just punching the daylights out of the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care who you are in that moment, you're like, something's wrong because that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't typically happen.
No, not
Like
the
he
Hulk.
is hitting the Hulk, and the Hulk has a look on his face of pain. And I'm like, how does Spider-Man hit him that hard? Like he's fought the Juggernaut and barely been able to hold it together. Like one time, Captain America was the only reason he survived it. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally, the Juggernaut goes to swing at him, and like all of a sudden, Cap just blocks with the shield, and that's like the window that Spider-Man uses starts like webbing up his eyes and all sorts of different things.
Mm-hmm.
But he had the power cosmic. He was imbued by the power Captain Universe. The Spider-Man was flying. He was running around
Cosmic
doing all
Spider-Man.
this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cosmic Spidey. You like Cosmic Spidey. Okay.
yeah, that's my favorite Spider. So yeah, it was Peter was in that mode, but that was my favorite Spider-Man.
Cosmic. Okay, so my favorite Spider-Man. I'm torn. I like Me Ultimate Spider-Man. I do like Me Ultimate Spider-Man. I think Ultimate Peter was really interesting. But if I had to pick the era, I have to say Black Costume Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, Black Costume Spidey's my fave, just because, you know. Don't worry, Mary. We're both gonna do one. I'm gonna do one more Spider-Man tonight. I'm gonna try one here, but I'm gonna try a new one because I've never actually
Okay.
tried her. I'm gonna do Spider-Gwen.
Okay, Spider-Gwen is cool. I'm thinking of who I would want to draw second.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Spider-Man
Spider-Gwen.
different iterations here.
So for
So
those so, so for those people who aren't aware, Spider-Gwen is when Gwen Stacy was Spider-Man, right? In another universe, it's Peter that dies, right? So that's what happens there, and it's an interesting, it's an interesting
well,
con.
but he didn't die first. Like he
No,
does die, but remember there's some other stuff that happens prior.
mm-hmm.
Not that we're gonna
But
spoil stuff if you've never read it.
yeah, so well, I'm just giving the basics. I'm giving the
Okay, the clip
basics here.
notes.
Nothing because again, if anyone wants to pick her up, I actually enjoyed Spider Gwen as in the black costume. I like that version of her was interesting. So yeah, I again just because it's a different take on her, and also I just like the fact that Matt Murdock was such an asshole. I enjoyed that she took him down. So not going to spoil too much about that, but it's a different universe. Some familiar characters are reimagined in different ways, but it's still probably one. It's Spider-Man at its purest is just like the classic story. Ooh, Ghost Spider, yes,
Ghost
Ghost
Spider is
Spider,
interesting.
yeah.
No, it wasn't Ghost Spider like Uncle Ben, like, and then becomes the Ghost Spider basically.
I don't recall. Let's look that up. I don't. Ghost Spider is not my um Ghost Spider. Da 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 da. It has to do with no, it's Spider Gwen. Ghost Spider is her
Ghost
actual name.
Spider is Spider. Okay.
Yeah, Ghost Spider. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing Ghost Spider because I like Ghost Spider. And there you go. I'm learning. I learned her new name. Like I haven't like I know her as Spider Gwen, but that's just me. So yeah. So I'm. Oh, real quick. I'll show you this real quick before we go. I got started here. This is Link losing to a chicken.
Ah, yeah. Link tends to lose to chickens a lot.
Yeah, totally does.
I can't
Totally.
remember which version it is where I'm trying to think of one of the games where basically if you kick a whole bunch of chickens, eventually every time you go into a town where chickens are, then apparently they have some sort of telepathic link and they all are aware that you kick chickens.
Oh,
So they
I
all start chasing you.
yes. Well, there are variations of all the Link games. I mean, there is definitely a. I'm gonna go with that version of her. That's actually a fun name. That's a fun image of her. Actually, I'm gonna try that. But no, the thing is, I actually wrote a short story about what happens to the fairies that he catches in the box,
Okay.
right? So um, it ends up that the chickens kind of curse him. He gets cursed with chickens for the rest of his days as a result of that episode that story I wrote. Um, it's not the happiest ending in the world for the fairy, but it's also like one of those. It's one of those moments where it was just like, oh, that's cool. I didn't know that, Maddie. That's cool. They have her on the Kids Spider-Man show now. I didn't know that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you taught me something. Oh, she's a good choice. Like in some ways, she's might be the purest Spider-Man right now in terms of like the concept of it. Might be the purest. Might be the purest. Right? That's a debate, but that's you know I mean, Spider-Man to me is a take on Percival, the Knight of the Round, right? Just a innocent Pearson thrust with great power, right? That innocence is kind of their strength. They're always discovering new parts of the world at all times. And I think that's the real challenge with Spider-Man, to be honest with you, because there comes a point where he gets older slash wiser, and you can't escape that forever, right? So you have to kind of let that happen,
Right.
and they don't like doing that for very long with Peter Parker. Although I do think of all the Spider-Man characters, of all the superheroes out there, Peter would be one of the best dads, in my opinion. I could be wrong on that, but that's just my take
Well,
on Peter.
and they have done the redux of the One More Day where instead of him giving up the daughter to Mephisto, he actually has a daughter, and then they have, I believe it's Mayday Parker. So
Yes.
they do that in the books and things like that as well. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, totally. Right. So that's kind of what the thing is. So it's one of those moments where you just look at it and go, I really dug the one more day. I really dug the one more day concept as a. I didn't dig. Okay, I gotta lie. I hated one more day. I'm lying. I think one more day was a cop out, but that's the trap. Spider-Man loses his innocence at some point. Peter. So you're looking at Gwen Stacy as a current like incarnation. She can kind of keep that innocent concept up in a very fun way. It doesn't feel like it's detracting from the spider concept. In fact, it's very true to the spider concept, right? That's what I think makes Mayday so cool. That's what makes Mayday. Also makes Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider just one of those amazing concepts. Because I like the idea that Spider-Man has a second generation that's just like him, that raising havoc and trying to make the world pretty much like he did, make some of his exact same mistakes, which I also think is a very cool thing, right? Is a very cool idea. I think it's very, very apropos
Mm-hmm.
because that way also Peter is still learning stuff. Now he's just seeing it from the perspective of his daughter, which I think is like cool. And I like Gwen because again, it's a very pure Spider-Man concept: great power, great responsibility, and I think that's a really cool take on the Spider mythos.
And then also just the idea that when you do that, it's that whole concept of, okay, so now we've got this out there. So what are we doing with it? And it's just like
Yeah,
we're going to build this whole other thing where
yeah.
now we've got Gwen Stacy, the girl who a lot of people will say Peter's first true love in a lot of ways.
She
Uh,
was as a character definitely. She suited him as a character a lot more than even Mary Jane did. That doesn't say I actually do like Mary Jane, but I do think Gwen was in a lot of ways better for him, right? But that's just my opinion.
mhm.
If you don't have that opinion, You're wrong, but then you can have that opinion.
You're wrong, but we appreciate you for having an opinion. You're just wrong.
You're
Just
like,
so you know.
yeah.
It's a great thing. Love you, but you're wrong. Feels like all those episodes, those moments of Scrubs, where one of the doctors came in and they're just like, oh, you know, we're going to do this, this, and this. And it's just like, wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Just wrong. Accept it. I know best. Or some bullshit like that. Yeah. Actually, but okay, in all seriousness, no, not just because I'm right, because I am, but in all seriousness, right? The truth of the matter is, everybody's got their favorite era of character, right? Everybody does,
Right.
and you know, the cool thing about this is the thing, I don't mind. Like, I'm again, since I am a creative, I look at franchises a little differently now than I used to, in the sense
Right.
that I can see the need to experiment, at least a little bit, right? Right. So I get that need to kind of experiment with your character just a touch, kind of see how it works, right? I get that a little bit more. But
Uh-oh.
that all said, oh, cool. Now you shared our video. That's cool.
Awesome.
No, like the thing of, thanks you, Maddie, for sharing the video. But the thing is, right, we all have our favorite like eras. Like, I'm a Green Lantern guy. Kyle Rayner's always going to kind of be my guy. That doesn't mean he's everybody's guy.
Right.
I can accept that. Again, people are wrong, but still, I can accept that.
Hey,
right?
I'm sorry, sir. Hold on just a second. We are not going to disrespect Jon Stewart by referring to it as a wrong option, sir.
Oh, actually, do you want my honest opinion on Jon Stewart? I'm going to be very blunt on John.
Okay, go ahead.
He's the money in Green Lantern. He's the money. He legit is the money. Kyle's my favorite, but I'm not ever going to. Jon Stewart is such a cool story. I honestly do not understand why DC just doesn't build the franchise around him. And that's my honest opinion of him.
Because Hal's the Wonder Boy.
No, I don't think Hal's is interesting. Like, I'm being real when I say it. I think, like, John, he accidentally blew up a planet. Like, seriously, John accidentally blew up a planet because he was an arrogant prick. No other great. I cannot. No way he can justify John. The thing about John is, for all the tragedy he's been through, it makes him stronger.
Yep.
He becomes like, he lost his wife. His wife was murdered. He has this, like, he's this walking, talking badass that has overcome and seen so much for the Green Lantern mythos that how can you not look at him and go, like, seriously, he's the money. Why are you guys not giving him more love? Right.
Well, and they did do the comic recently where I think he was kind of leading the team, but the consensus was the power battery had blown up.
Yeah, so, no, I'm reading it. It's actually very good.
I bet it is. Like, I love the concept of it. I'm just sitting there going, like, but yeah, I really hope they do well with it, because they're like, well, Jon Stewart has to lead this team of Lanterns. Well, who better to lead them in a situation where they have to be soldiers to survive in a situation they don't have the thing that makes them, quote, the soldiers of Oa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he's the only soldier of the group that's been a soldier outside of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. No, it's just one of those. It's one of those truths, right, about the universe, is just the fact that, like, he's the money. Like, I don't care what anybody says. He's the money, but Kyle's my favorite because I grew up reading Kyle, right?
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So
for a lot of people, Jon Stewart was a lot of people's first Green Lantern because of Justice League. League
yeah, you know what? And I think that was an inspired choice. by man, I can't remember his last name. Mike McDuffie. McDuffie did that Justice
Dwayne
League.
McDuffie.
Yeah, and that was such an inspiredly good
Well,
choice.
Dwayne McDuffie and also Bruce Timm, because McDuffie kind of came in with like, so let me get this straight. We're doing cartoons right now in a world where we've got all this different people, and you mean to tell me that everybody in the scene's got to be white or green?
Yeah, exactly.
And Bruce Timm's kind of like, I didn't think about that. What change can we make to make sense out of this? Because originally it was the original 7. So it was going to be, I think it was Aquaman was going to be where Hawkgirl was.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the original block. And he kind of came in and says, like, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, can we mix it up a little bit? And so that's why they made the decision to do Jon Stewart, and they pulled Aquaman out as a primary character and put Hawkgirl in his place. And I think that was really a powerful casting choice.
I will say this, though, for people. If you hate, like, I'm an Aquaman fan. I know I'm like the only one. I understand. Shh. You're all wrong. But no, in all seriousness, in all seriousness, I thought that Hawkgirl was such a good choice for the character and for the show, and so was
John.
Yeah, John was amazing. And again, listen, I like Kyle more, but I talked to somebody, and I told him, like, if I had John, like, I think they should do a Green Lantern cartoon 1 year featuring all, because you have all these different Green Lanterns for 1 year. Just have each season is a different lantern and tie all their continuity together. John is got so much you can do in that year. Like, you could take Green Lantern, make him Doctor Who. Seriously, make it Doctor Who, and it would work. Like, it would freaking work, because every year you'd have a different lantern. They got all their different stories, right? Some stuff's really good, some stuff's really bad, right? But you could do that for a year. And my favorite to the plot were Guy and John. Guy doesn't get all the love he deserves either, to be perfectly honest. But, no, man, Jon Stewart's money. Like, he legit is money. I don't get why DC doesn't do more with him. It actually boggles the mind slightly. I don't judge people too much, but I am judging DC. Harsh. DC! You have been judged.
You failed this
city. And you're like, this conversation got sillier somehow than when we started. And you're like,
I mean, if we're going to talk about this of DC getting judged, you have failed this city seems like the next logical step.
Ouch! Ouch! Oh, that's mean, man. That's so mean. Oh.
I'm just saying, look, some things you just don't need to mess with.
Oh, ow, dude. Right? I feel like you broke it. Like I almost feel like you went too far. Almost.
Oh dear.
If the DC movies hadn't been as I can't defend the DC movies. I just can't.
I'm waiting on the person who can. I want to meet him.
Yeah. Can't defend them. It's like Shazam was okay.
I love Shazam. I love Aquaman. The Aquaman movie was all right.
The first Wonder Woman movie was great. Fun.
You know, the second one would have been great had it not been for the fact that they made her rapey for some dude that was like possessing the body. Steve Trevor possessing some other dude's body who we have no idea who it was. And somebody's like, oh, it's not that bad. Reverse the roles in that. Reverse the roles in that. Let Wonder Woman come back in a female's body and pull that same story and see what would happen. They'd have ate that thing alive.
Oh, no. It's like, can you defend the second Wonder Woman? It's like, nope. No, I can't. I want to, but I really can't because
I want it to be really good. I mean, I like the whole idea of
and I love
Pedro
Gal Gadot.
Pascal. I enjoy Pedro Pascal as Max Lord, but it felt like it got beggy at one point, like an old school R&B song when you're at a club at like 2:45 before the lights go out at 3. You're trying to get that last desperate like plea to like go home with somebody. I mean, it's bad. It's just like, okay, a villain should not be begging me to like him this much. Like, I'm trying, Maxwell Lords. I really am. But the problem is that like the books, if you go back and look at the old JL, I believe it's like the old Justice League Europe and some of the other Justice League books where you had like Guy Garner and Martian Manhunter and Blue Beetle and Fire and Ice, those guys on the team with Max Lord kind of fronting it financially. You know, that book right there really, like, you gotta bring it if you're gonna play Max Lords after me reading that stuff.
Yes. Especially when you had Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis writing that stuff. That
right.
was stuff like that great stuff. No, I feel like you almost went too far, buddy. I mean, again, I want to be able to. I want to be able to defend it, but the problem is, I really can't, and that's that. I feel really bad because there's part of me that, like, you know, that wants to defend this, but there's another part of me. It's like, can you really defend this at all? It's like, nope, I can't.
I mean, now the Linda Carter cameo in the end was worth it, but
almost.
It's bad that you have to depend on the old guard of Wonder Woman to even try to bring it back to something of relevancy.
Yeah, I know.
I love Linda Carter. Like I'm like, I think her and Casey Kasem must have figured out where the pond of eternity is, because that woman doesn't seem to age.
Well, you take care. Again, we talked about this earlier, right? If you take care of yourself, you manage to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You'll look like that, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
That's right. So, William, you're going to get six-pack abs in your old age that will blow people's minds?
That's it. I'm looking to train like Michael Jai White so I can be the next black martial artist.
Okay, so are you going to be the next Black Dynamite? Are you going to like bigger?
I don't think there could be another Black Dynamite. Like, I wouldn't even try to be the next one.
No,
like right. Because it's just Black Dynamite just lives in a legend all in and of itself.
Dynamite.
Which, by the way, they did confirm. Michael Jai White did confirm his production studio is working on the sequel.
Oh, good Lord!
Because we need the sequel, right? Like
that movie is amazing for almost all the wrong and right reasons at the same time.
It's what would happen if blaxploitation was done well.
Yeah, kind of. They weren't trying to be good either. That was part of the fun. That was part of the fun, right? Like, I still remember the scene. It's like, cut. So you see this, like, you see like, no worries, thanks, Maddie.
the militant turned startled. Surprisingly, I'm in charge. Like, what? And you only really get the joke when you understand stage direction, because he's literally reading the stage direction lines in the thing. It's just like, you're not supposed to read those.
Yes. But I did. What are you going to do about it?
And like, he kept doing it. He did it until he died. That character just did it the whole entire movie.
Yes. Oh, no. I know. It was great. And Black Dynamite was the typical 80s action. Like, they made fun of the 80s television shows. They made fun of everything in that movie, right? Tiger Cult Malt Liquor. I mean, that's a homage to the old crappy malt liquors from that era. I mean,
I'm still trying to figure out. Wait, you said the crappy malt liquors. When was there a good one? Like,
Tiger Malt's okay. It's okay.
Okay. You know, I mean, it's kind of like
good. Maybe it's too hard. But
I mean, it's kind of like when people talk about like Boone's Farm as a premier wine choice.
How'd I do?
I love the face. I'm not quite done with my version of Ghost Spider. And by the way, in Earth 11638, their version of the Ghost Spider is actually like their version is a Peter Parker who gets imbued by the spirit of vengeance.
Oh, geez, Ghost Rider. Ghost
Yeah.
Rider Spider-Man. That's sweet.
He actually
Well,
shows up in the PS2, in the PS4 version of Spider-Man as a skin that you can get.
ooh, sexy. I think for now, good sir, I'm done. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep talking for a few minutes. I'm gonna be called. I think me doing 3 different drawings was pretty good. So how was my first Spider-Man? How would you rate it overall, my friend?
I'm gonna give it and this is me grading it not on a curve, but where I've seen you start.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say 5 to 6,
Out
just
of
because
10?
I feel like you're putting your foot on the left. Yeah, out of 10, I'm gonna say five
Okay,
to
I
six.
just want to make sure. I want to make sure it's not out of 100, right? Yeah.
No, that would just be cruel, man.
Yeah. Hey, no, like I've come a long way. I've got a lot of work still. I'm not like I don't pretend I'm the greatest artist in the world, but um, I feel I get points for just going for it. That's that. That's
Right.
the I feel like I get. That's where I get a lot of my points. So
And that's the thing. It's doing it when you don't feel like doing it some days.
yeah,
Uh, I heard it. The old euphemism in wrestling is if you learn how to take how to take like chicken poop and turn it into chicken salad.
yes,
And it's not an easy trope at all because there are days
no,
where you don't feel like that. But if you can do the work and put in the time, I mean, it's gonna get better. You're gonna get books in your hands that you're gonna sit there and be inspired by. You're gonna be like, oh, that's really good. Here's something I can learn how to do arms, or here's something like I tell people, I don't care who you are, how long you've been drawing. Arms are gonna always give you a bit of a problem.
mm-hmm.
Hands will always be the bane of your existence, and so will feet. Because there are things you see, but you don't see them.
No, it's breaking things down. And Alan gave me a great art lesson. Was like turning people into breaking people down into shapes. Hands,
Yeah.
I can see a bunch of shapes. Like there are a bunch of little shapes together there. Rectangles, circles, squares. Like there's things you can do to make a hand feel it. But there's a certain flexibility too. I like my biggest struggle was breasts. I couldn't figure them out for the longest time. Right. And then I figured them out. It's like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. I can figure them out.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
part of that's just about understanding that when you're looking at it, it's more of, okay, am I drawing muscle? And because I mean, there's no bone there. It's just primarily muscle, loose muscle.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got the milk glands and things like that, So it's just breaking that down and kind of working that backwards and then shaping them. And of course, then the problem is, you don't want to be 13 years old trying to draw them. And because you see some artists, you go through it. I remember my mother one time said, I was looking at a comic book one day. She was just like, some of these guys that draw some of this stuff looks like they just never grew up.
That's true. It's pretty much the truth.
And she said, I understand people like women like this, but every woman can't look like this. So that's why I think about like art like Terry Moore. That's why I think about art like even Bert Sears or Humberto Ramos and other people that they draw their women very, very different sizes. They're all shapes and sizes. If you see a group of women in a background, all the women don't look like the cookie cutter Barbie shape purple.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that. I think that's really awesome. I think that's something that a lot of artists need more in their repertoire.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like drawing pretty women. Who doesn't? But everybody's got different shapes and sizes, and it's just a matter of being real about them.
Right.
So, but that's the thing. So, let me think here. How would I rate? So, how would you rate your year in terms of production and what you've learned?
Well, to rate the year, I'm going to say there were moments with production because a lot of people may have known that I don't think I put out a single book this year. There are a lot of plans I put away, but there was also a lot of stuff I was dealing with during the year with different things, different situations. So it's kind of hard to sit down and write for 4 to 5 hours a day if I've got the world kind of sometimes some days I had to go help the world because somebody else's world was on fire, and then other days my world was on fire, and I got to deal with those things. But at the end of the day, I hear people say a lot. They'll quote this verse of scripture, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they say, the Lord will never put on you more than what you can bear.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I learned this year, just as far as everything. I didn't realize what I was capable of bearing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times what happens is people will say, well, this must not be the Lord because this is too much for me. No, it's not. Because if you truly understood what you're capable of, you would have threw it up with no problem. Because you have to go through the process. And I remember when I was in high school specifically, bench pressing 300 or 400 pounds was something when I first started, I could never imagine myself doing.
Yep.
So, but what happened? Okay, you go through, you start off with the bar. Okay, you get your form down, you make sure everything's good, right? Then they put on that first whole plate. Okay, you're still checking your form, make sure everything's good, but you're lifting a little bit heavier weight. So what happens? You go through that initial soreness if you're not used to it, right? You go through that initial soreness and the pain and the thing. You wake up in the middle of the night, your stuff is cramping, everything's going crazy, your body's not right, your mind's trying to figure it out. You're running to the kitchen. If you get a cramp in your leg, you're running to the kitchen, hobbling, trying to get a thing of salt just so you can get some sodium in your system so you can go back to sleep. And as time goes on, you wake up one day, you're in the gym, and now you're lifting 120 pounds. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the pain to get there is what got you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you couldn't have gone through if you stopped when your joints hurt the first time, you would have never got to 125. Okay, so then you go through the next step. Okay, so now you've gone from 125 to say 200. Over time, that's not something you're not going to throw that weight on somebody immediately. It's over time. You build to it, right? So then the next thing you know, you're doing 200. Well, then you start thinking, can I get to 250? Now you're kind of anticipating it. Now you're kind of building up to look forward to it. Now, I'm not saying people grow up looking toward the pain, and I'm not saying people grow up to look toward the circumstance. But when the circumstance happens, it's like, okay, you know what, God, we got through this one. How are you going to get me through the next one? And so you start building a different set of expectations because now you're not looking at the circumstance and trying to figure out how to run or how to get around it anymore. Because now you know the only way through is through. And so you wake up one day and you realize, wow, I'm a whole lot stronger because of the stuff I had to deal with this year than I would have been had I been trying to do all this other stuff and not dealing with some of the stuff. Because I had to go deal with it. And because I had to go deal with it, I woke up with the bummy knees and I woke up with the painful legs sometimes and the painful arms and I didn't want to get out of bed and all this other stuff. But it was like, okay, now we got to go because we know that on the other side of this is the next thing.
Yep.
And so I'm building up for whatever that is because I know when I'm done with that, guess what? There is no such thing as there. You just keep trying to elevate. You just keep trying to get to where you're supposed to go. And while it's not easy, and while there are days where you're not as inspired as others, we all are going to go through it. Mothers go through it, just like artists go through it, just like writers go through it, just like movie stars go through it, just like all the celebrities you love and watch go through it. We all go through that. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you have to be willing to go beyond what you're inspired to do and into what you know you need to do to get through wherever you're going next.
So I have 9 rules to success. All right. The 8th rule is stay uncomfortable. Get used to being in uncomfortable situations. At least putting yourself being okay with being in uncomfortable situations because that's where you grow. Right? You're given a lot of things that you can handle or a lot of things that you can't handle. And you got to make decisions based on what you think is right. And all of us kind of have our struggles. And again, some days I'm like, hey, I'm going to be a lazy mofo for a few days. I'm going to play video games for a couple days. I live in Canmore right now. There's this cute girl at the coffee shop. Maybe I go hit on her for a little bit. Why not? Right. And have some fun. But at the same token, I look at it and I realize, like, I'm constantly putting myself in uncomfortable situations. I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from. I have an idea of when I'm going to get paid, when I can get paid again, but I'm seeing if I can get myself something beforehand. So I don't know. And after that, I don't know. And after that, I don't know. I don't have that comfort built in. I have to constantly look for work. That's uncomfortable. I put myself in, right? But in these moments, I learn things about sales, struggles. And even if I don't succeed, I'm throwing so many things out there that eventually, like I said, you swing in enough bats, you hit singles, doubles, triples, and occasionally you hit a home run. Right? That's just inevitable. So, yeah, we train ourselves, like, the painful moments, the really painful moments we're going through. A lot of people give up right when it's at its most beneficial, ironically enough, because if you're going to go through all this pain, you might as well get something for it.
Right.
Right. Don't stop right when it hurts the most. Stop when you get what you're going for, whatever that is. Right. Then stop for a minute and go, okay, I need to lie down. Right.
Yeah.
Many people stop. And that's, but again, it's uncomfortable. Like, fear is a door. I said this, and this is going to be my motto for next year. Fear is a door. Discomfort is a door. Right? Walk through them. The way out of those doors, the way out is through those doors. It's not to just sit here there and wait, because all you're going to do is feel those things even more and more, and then you're going to not move less. Inevitably, the only way out is through those doors.
So yeah, that's the thing. I think above all else is that I'm better now for going through the stuff I went through, and I know next year when I'm going through things to get to where I want to go, they're going to be hard days ahead. But I don't feel the hard anymore.
That's right. You can lift 400 pounds, and does that include me? Can you spin me over your head yet? Are you getting there?
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Because living tissue is a lot different than a bar.
No, it totally is.
Or to quote Bruce Lee, boards don't hit back.
I wouldn't hit back. I just wonder if I get a free ride. Whee!
Well, if Miss Jen has CadetCon next year, maybe we can work something out.
maybe. We're going to come to, I think, a breaking point at some point next year, because I do think that this is not going to continue as it has been. I just think people are tired of it. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out next year. In the meantime, good sir, what you got? Nothing really to promote, do you?
Well, I can show you what I got to hear. I mean, I'm not quite.
Yeah, sure. We can do that. Ghost Vengeance Spidey, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. It's that moment when you just look in the eyes of fear itself, and it's just a skull sitting on a spider symbol going like, "Oh no!"
Well, do you know what would truly terrify people if you just waved like this? Like, because
he's just standing over there looking at us.
Hello, how are you? Okay, this is not how I expected you to react. Where's the growling? Oh, there'll be growling. Oh shit! Right, so
growling, but it won't be me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It might be.
Oh, right. So, but no, man, I'm very glad that I know some things you've been through this year. I'm not going to say them out loud because that's not my place.
Yeah.
I will just say I'm sorry you went through them on one hand. I'm happy you seem to be coming out on the other side of it. And that's a great thing. Right? So I'm wishing you a better year next year because I want you to succeed. Good luck on your Kickstarter. Let me know when you got to come back when it's ready to go.
I will.
Yeah, definitely come back. Right? So for everybody watching, everybody listening, like I said, this is William Holland. I'm the pretty one. But before we go, well, you got a website people can find you at and talk about?
I do, but they won't find me so much, but they'll find an extension of myself. So I do a podcast too.
Yes.
Now I'm not quite as big man on campus as Josh is, but I'm working on it.
So in the podcasting, I'm the talented one. He's the pretty one. Whereas in art, He's the talented one. I'm the pretty. We got that right? Is that cool?
You know,
At least for the moment. You might
surpass
me.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Like in that realm, I'm doing really well. It's getting like scary how much more people are seeming to find me right now, which is kind of cool.
So, in the land of podcast, if you want to do something interesting, check out Conversations About ... pod page, because that will be the place where, and I'll send you the link to that, Josh.
Yeah, send me a link of that so I can put it on the Twitch.
Hang on just 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Share that with you, because now I do have a podcast site, and of course it's available on the Google Podcast and the Spotify's and all that jazz, and everywhere you get your podcasting goodness. So right. Me and my friends get together and we do the geek stuff, and we talk about the geeky things, and we talk about different trailers that are out there. We talk about different movies we've seen. We are getting ready probably next couple of weeks to be talking about Hawkeye series that just wrapped up. We kind of give people a week-ish, because some people don't like to watch week to week. They like to go in and be like, I'm going to watch the whole thing at once and just binge it all because I'm a Netflix baby. And so that's kind of the way people like to do it. And so as a result, we like to give people that week of reprieve after the last episode drops, and then we talk about it. Then we get in there and get jiggy with you. And we let you know our thoughts and everything about the series. And in some cases, where things are headed. We know we're getting an Echo series out of this, which I'm super psyched about that, because I love Echo, the Daredevil books, and that's where she came in the first time. So
very cool. So this is William's page. I've been on this show. He's a cool dude. He is pretty much as you see him on this episode, except he doesn't draw on the air. Or do you draw on the air there yet?
Nah, we haven't really done that one yet. My podcast co-host, they're working on a book called Atomic Derby. It's basically they're telling this story about these wonderful girls who skate at a roller derby place, and kind of their stories about growing up together and learning to love each other and love themselves and all that stuff. And they're really doing this really powerful story. And so I told them, I said, one of these days when I do a Kickstarter, I want to do a Kickstarter with your book in tow. Like, I want to be able to have your stuff ready to go with mine, so that people can see the stuff you got. Because if you think my stuff's awesome, just wait till you see these guys.
Dude, you're kind of in a class by yourself, my friend. And I say that in the best possible way, because you're honestly a really good dude. So here's what I'm going to do. First off, I'm going to put my book up on first the Facebook page, and then on Twitch. We're going to hide that. We're going to go like this. And we're going to show this. So this is my latest book release, ladies and gentlemen. This is called Alice 1. Atlas plays croquet in the underworld against Jason of the Argonauts. And in this labyrinth, Alice and company faces gods, monsters, and maybe the most terrifying nightmare of them all, themselves, trying to get out of the game and the maze. So it's really, really fun. I had a blast writing this. It's Alice's Pandora. It works incredibly well. Beyond that, folks, my Twitch stream is literally one follow away from 100 followers. I am so close. It's not even fun. It's not even funny. So if you guys want to, twitch.tv/JustJoshing Podcast. There's the holder there. Go there. Go check out my YouTube channel. Joshua Pentel-Resco. Hit the like, subscribe, enable notifications. This is my second last episode of the year. The other name was originally going to be my next, but I got a really fun final guest. Another drink and draw. We're going to be drink and drawing our way into the new year, because frankly, I can't think of a better way to do this. Ruth Lucas is my final guest. Another drink and draw.
Okay.
Right. But that all said, William, thank you so much for coming on my show. And to everybody watching, everybody listening, right? Stay inspired, keep shining in the dark. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to emphasize this over and over again for the next year. Fear is by the door. Walk through it. All right, guys. See you next time.
Take care, guys.